All right. Well, here we are in New Mexico, of all places. Right now, I'm on a dispersed camping site up near Santa Fe, New Mexico. Just made some coffee, just kicking back in the home on wheels here. It's been a fantastic vehicle so far. The only problem I have right now is I have one left tire up on the front that's running a ring real bad around the outside. I'm figuring that's probably worn ball joint, or it could be that I've got all of the weight distribution not right and it's riding high, which could be, who knows. But that's a problem I have to deal with. I'm going to have to swap a tire around, put the spare on or something. It's getting pretty bald on that one side, and keep going from there. It's just part of the things that happen out here. Aside from that, everything else is fantastic. It runs great. It uses very little oil in the long run. It gets down a quart about every 1,000 miles, and that's pretty par for the course on anything older. It's not dripping any fluids underneath. I've had to add a little steering fluid, but that may have been the case right off the bat. So that's not really being the issue at this point. It's comfortable. The stove works just fine. The fan works. The lights work. The microwave doesn't work. The refrigerator works. And the furnace needs a thermostat, but we're beyond furnace time now. So that's just kind of an update of where we're at. I'm in New Mexico. I am currently without signal in where I'm at, and a lot of dispersed sites are that way. You can end up with no cell signal. But I've had a good day just kind of lounging around in the home here. Cleaned up a little, wiped some things down, just did some things that I hadn't really gotten around to since I got him. And it turns out the road I'm on is fairly busy. You can hear cars in the distance there, and I'm not far off of a main road. But for now, there is a creek right over there. It's a very dirty looking creek running fast. That's what you tend to find down here in like New Mexico. You get water. When it's water, it's dirty. So there's not too much here. There's not too much to do, and that kind of brings in another problem for me. I'm not much for just sitting around. I need to be staying several days at these locations. They're free, and you can be up here up to 14 days at times, depending on the area. Around Taos, New Mexico, and places like that, they have shortened that because of the overabundance of people living in their vehicles. That's an American problem. Now, and I don't think it's really necessarily a problem because I live in my vehicle, right? I have no other home than this motorhome now, and it's taken me almost 7 years to get to that point. I was sleeping in cars prior to that. So this isn't new. This is something that's gone on for years. The difference is I now have this thing that is mine. Now, if it breaks down, it breaks down, and I do what I got to do to make it run again, or do what I got to do. But for now, it's providing me with a house. This is my home. If this breaks down, I have nowhere to go back to. Basically. I mean, there's people I can go stay with, but for a certain amount of time, and that's just kind of how that works. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at here at Loving the Dream. We are out on the road. One of the biggest drawbacks I've come to realize here is that oh, I can't. I'm having a hard time motivating myself to do things. Like I went into Roswell Rather than walk through some interesting shops, I drove straight through. Stopped in a Albertson parking lot. And that's kind of, you know, that's the problem that I'm dealing with right now. It's not that I don't want to make videos or make videos and upload them and do all of that. It's just that I'm having difficulty motivating myself to do something other than the standard hike through the woods video. And I don't want to do those, and I don't want to do videos where I'm just showing driving, although I do a lot of driving and we drive through some pretty interesting things. That's not where I want to see the channel go. And I've introduced tarot again. That's just something that I do personally. If you don't like tarot, don't watch those videos. That's all. But I do collective reads for my subscribers or who might see the video, and that's how I operate that. So it may or may not resonate with you. If there's 2,000 subscribers, I could be speaking to one. But generally, I find that on a general collective read, it tends to hit home at some point for everybody, because if you're a Sagittarius, you're going to experience the same things that other Sagittarius are currently experiencing. And that can actually go with a lot of different houses. As you can see, I looked at astrology quite a bit. Why astrology? Well, just because it's ancient. And I figure, if something is complete and utter BS, it's not going to survive thousands of years. There has to be some truth to it to enable it to come through. So I don't get into everything astrology wants to speak. I'm not into gods and goddesses and all of these other things necessarily, but the attributes of the human being seem to correlate with planet alignments when you were born and what houses they landed in and all of those things. So that's why I look at those things. So that's just me. It's not something that I'm trying to push on everybody. I have my own little beliefs around that are outside of the actual astrology. So pretty much this is what I've done today, which is hang out. Hang out. I am a single man. I am a Sagittarius. There's no one in my life. And I'm currently just hanging out in this vehicle until the money runs out. Yeah. But, I believe wholeheartedly in manifestation. Matter of fact, I've been manifesting a lot of things, and you're looking at one right now, which is this home on wheels. I manifested this when people didn't want me to manifest this. So there's been some real challenges along the way, and I've dealt with some real challenging people. But so there's a lot of wisdom in those lessons that I've learned, and I share those on my Facebook page, which is @LovinTheDream. I also have a website, which is lovinthedream.com. And I'm on Twitter, but I don't do much over there. Instagram gets whatever Facebook gets as far as images in the first paragraph. I do a lot of chit-chat on Facebook in the comments. So those are things that if you're not aware of them, get subscribed to those. Other than that, this is what you're looking at. I'm trying to build a channel for me that's going to keep me moving out here. I'm tired of jumping from job to job and make a little money and travel till it's gone and then go back and do another job that gets me a little money. Then I travel a little bit and then it's gone. The goal of this channel now is to support itself. And that's what I'm working on. I'm working toward monetization so that the channel itself can begin to pave the fuel. As it is, I've put a lot of money into this at this point, of my own money. But that's sometimes how you got to get started, and that's just how that is. So that's what we're doing here, and I live in this full time at this point. There is no other house. I do have another car that's up in Belgrade, Montana. And damn, that coffee's good. I mean, coffee out here in the middle of nowhere. I tell you what, that's good. So this is it. This is where we live. This is what we do. And this is my welcome aboard video, I guess you'd call it. I'll try to do these more often, and especially when I get into places where there's no signal and I've got nothing to do but sit down here and talk with you guys. That's where we're at. It's a little late for a cup of coffee, but I'm still drinking it because I love it. I've got a thing for that Walmart cheap cinnamon toast creamer. Me and everybody else on the planet, because it's usually out when I get in. I hope you'll stick around till I get this thing rocking and rolling and we actually see some things that are interesting. As it is right now, to be honest with you, I've driven through Texas, I've driven through New Mexico, and I've driven through Colorado and parts of Montana, which at this point when I drove through them weren't interesting enough, in my opinion. It was white snow all the way through Wyoming. It was brown grass all the way through Colorado. And it was a dry desert down here in New Mexico. There's a very small chunk of highway here in the eastern northern part that is pretty. Other than that, it can be pretty brown. And then I went into Texas, and I drove all the way to almost to Houston. I was about 40 miles out of Houston when I turned around and drove all the way back to Roswell, New Mexico. And that's where I dropped the ball on the whole thing. I should have done something in Roswell, but I didn't. So this is where we're at. I have tried to find somebody who would be a partner with me, who would run along with me, who'd hold the camera, who'd be able to drag my personality out a little bit and get me out of this vehicle a little more often. That hasn't happened because it's hard. It's hard to find somebody anymore. It's really hard. Especially if you're an honest person. There's not many honest people left in the world. Everybody seems to be living a lie without even knowing it's a lie because they're just confused. People are confused. I'm not confused. I know exactly what's going on in the world. I just ignore it. So that's where we are at Loving the Dream. This channel's more about manifesting and enjoying life and living in the moment. And that's where we want to be most of the time in our life. These external things that come through television, through Facebook, even through YouTube here, these external things they're manipulatable. And that's the problem. How can there be truth when my dead grandma can now be posted to social media singing a song? Right? Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later. And remember, loving the dream.